next fireside chat that's all about that every growing need company needs to hear. The session is titled Driving Pre-GTM Alignments Between Business and Marketing. It gets into the real work of making sure strategy, storytelling, and execution all move in the same direction from day one. When these teams sync early, as you all know, when different perspectives shaped by culture, geography, and lived experience all come together, the launches always hit a little harder. Ideas travel further and teams build momentum faster. So let's get ready for a conversation packed with sharp insights and real talks about what alignment truly takes. Without further ado, let's welcome to the stage our speakers, Mr. Shivesh Vishwanathan, founder and MD of Focus View Strategy Consulting. Joining him, we have Mr. Sedesh Kirkar, the principal partner of digital at WPP Media.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Field Conference, for having us here. It's truly a pleasure. And it's one of the my most favorite formats, which is fireside chat. It's not one, not five, but two people having an intimate conversation about a topic that we feel very passionate about. So as it was announced, the topic is about alignment between business and marketing. And as I have been at least thinking further over the last month, it's actually alignment between strategy, business, marketing, and eventually sales and sales and pipeline revenue. So how do you align all of these things together? So it's a topic of strategy, it's a topic of marketing strategy, and there's a lot of back and forth, going up and coming down, testing markets. It's a fairly complex system that one needs to develop. So that's the quick background about the topic. I'll quickly introduce myself, and I'll invite Siddesh also to introduce himself after that. So my name is Shivesh Vishwanathan. I own and run a company called Focus View Strategy Consulting. We've been in the space since 2018. For the last, we completed 7 years recently. And what we do is marketing strategy. So essentially the first couple of steps that organizations take after their product or their offering and service is ready. So a lot of pre-planning and preparation needs to go into the marketing before actual GTM and channels and advertisements and all of these start. And my experience working with companies before that, which was one was Persistent Systems. I was working for I was heading the product marketing function at Persistent. I'm based out of Pune, by the way. And so I was on the other side of the table where agencies and marketing teams that I'd work with, freelancers and everybody I would work with, and I saw this gap that businesses are not doing enough to come closer to the agencies to define their problem and what they want properly, and the agencies were kind of shooting in the dark, for the lack of if I could say that. So they were trying their best to understand the business, really get under the skin. But I think the companies from their side also were not giving enough attention to this problem. And there's a big gap that I identified. And that's the gap that we're working on at Focus View. More recently, thanks to AI and LLM, there is a wonderful concept that is possible, which is to actually take all of the strategic inputs around value proposition, messaging, positioning, differentiation, taking all of that and embedding it into an LLM engine, right? And something that runs on top of LLM. And you can, the GTM teams and the marketing teams can become much more productive, much more effective. So that's quickly a product called Aligner that we're building. We'll cover about the concept of Aligner a little more during the conversation, but wonderful to be here. And Siddesh, over to you if you want to introduce yourself.
Thanks for the introduction. It's a very detailed introduction that you had. And one thing which you just mentioned was the pre-alignment messaging and everything that is there. So quickly, an introduction about myself. I'm Siddesh Kirkar. I've been in the digital industry for around 18 years now. Even I have been part of both the sides of the table. So being with agencies, being with brands, at the same point of time, having my own brand, which I have set up. So it's a mixed kind of a thing. It's a marketeer, it's a business role that I've been in. And with all these set of things, since I'm a programmer by my academics, so that's a plus point that I always have in digital marketing, where you get to know, or you're logically trying to solve things rather than saying कि भाई ये करते हैं. But sometimes it's also a thing that you try to, your brain says that this is not possible, but your creative part of thing is saying let's try it and do it. So it's that fight that you always have, but with that kind of a thing, the product that comes out is a really great thing. uh, and in fact, with this, let's start with the discussion. Like, according to you, what should be the time, or what should be the stage at which the business and marketing team should both sit together and try to have conversation? Is it once the product is launched in the market? Is it when it's in the ideation stage? What do you think, Shivesh?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and I think it's so one of the things that is common between Siddesh and I is that we've both been from on the corporate as well as the services, consulting, agency side. So we understand, I think, both the gaps and psychologies in both the sides of the whole equation. Um, and he was also a programmer. I also started as a programmer early on in my career. So there's a little bit of a left brain also going on. So, and one of the important aspects is that is a very interesting dynamic, because I think the uh, engineers, product managers, founders, a lot of whom are actually engineers, they're thinking in a very linear, logical way of building products, and marketers tend to think laterally. So there's a lot of lateral thinking going on and creative thinking going on. So to bring these two together is very interesting. Where should marketing and business start engaging together? I think is of course the earlier the better, because even while building the product, building an offering, you need to have a very clear understanding of what um whom you're building for and what's the specific segment. So I think marketing, one of the things is that marketing is like I think David Packard of Hewlett Packard said that marketing is too important a function to be left to marketers. It's a very interesting statement where it's not just a marketing team. These silos have been created thanks to the industrial revolution, right? I mean, so everyone has a specialization, and they, in the assembly line, they are playing their roles. That's not how before industrial revolution things used to be. People used to build the entire car or bullock cart or whatever it was. They used to build it end to end. So they had a complete view of how this bullock cart will run. But there are some synergies and efficiencies that industrial revolution brought, which said that, Shivesh, you just put steering wheels in the car. Siddesh, you just put the tires in the car. But who's then thinking about how do these two things work together? And because of that, we think of marketing and business as separate, as silos. But in my mind, that's more of a function of an external limitation that has been imposed, and we find it very hard to have that conversation, that silos. So yeah, so I know long-winded way to say it, but I think the earlier the better. But Siddesh, I think you have like some experiences on where it can start, and
Yeah. In fact, one thing, once a friend of mine asked me, Siddesh, according to you, where should marketing start? I said, I answered it with a very simple kind of answer, saying that what happens when you buy a product in your house without consulting your wife? You know how it works. Uh, so if you're not consulting with a person who knows the entire your TG, or the your markets very well, the product that you're launching in that market with that kind of a strategy, it will always have some kind of a I would say limitation, or something would be missing in it. And hence it's always important to know who's the right person who knows your market better, and who better than marketeer who actually has spent a lot of time understanding the market, understanding the platforms, the tools, and everything. So sooner the better. Ideation, I don't know whether that's the right time when the marketing team can be brought in, but yes, if you have that kind of a facility at that point of time, that you have some marketing friend, or a marketer friend who can actually help you understand what is that is right now trending in the market, or something of that sort, you could just try and consult him. So according to me, it's not, there is no right kind of a time when the marketing team should be consulted, or you should actually have a conversation with the marketing team.
right, absolutely. In fact, many times what happens is that if the if the marketing thought process is not involved from the beginning, right? Or let me even say that the market understanding is not embedded and thought about from the beginning. I call what happens is what I call the flea market effect, where you're putting up a stall of everything that you are doing, and especially for any complex industry, it's we do this and we do that. So there are like 50 different things on the table that you do, and then the story pretty much like goes like, I can do this for you, I can do that for you, I can do 20 things, I can do 50 things, right? But the customer is not looking for what you can do for me, the customer is looking for what you will do for me, right? So that I call it the inside out versus outside in messaging. So inside out messaging is like laying everything on the table and say that, okay, you tell me what is that you want. I will give you item number 6 and item number 14, and you can put it together and see whether those two things make sense together, right? And think of it like jewelry, whatever, right? And that works for maybe like in a flea market kind of situation, but in complex B2B sales or even B2C sales, you cannot leave it to the customer to figure out that these two is what will go well. You have to do consultative selling at the sales level. You have to do consultative product development, co-create the product with saying that, okay, 6 and 14 is what goes together, and hence I will build only 6, that combination, and I'll sell only out of the 50 items that are there, I will only sell 4 items, or I'm building these 4 items or 5 items, right? My company's name is Focus Few, and that's where it comes from, that focus on a few things, build something with mindfulness, and then deliver a complete product.
Yeah, in fact, since we're talking about B2B, I would just like to give you an example. So I was leading marketing for one of the B2B product that we had with Aditya Birla. It was a business loan kind of product. And my business head, he came to me and said, Siddesh, there's a festive season coming in, and Siddesh, we want to launch our B2B product. So let's do one thing. Let's launch the product 1 month, 1.5 months before the festive season starts. Just because I had done my homework very well, and I knew that that's not the right time, because if you are launching something which is a business loan for a festive kind of a period, a businessman will actually need money 6 months before the festive season starts, because he has to procure his raw materials, he has to procure a lot of other things, and then go into the market. When the conversation started, luckily we had those 6 months in our hand, and that's the time when we were able to launch the product properly. See, these small set of things which are there are very important. You just can't say that yes, I know फेस्टिव सीजन में 1 महीने पहले लोग को पैसा दिया तो वो लोग जाके खरीदेंगे चीजें और हो जाएगा. If it's a B2C kind of a scenario, I would still say yes. In B2B scenario, things are very different. And see, it's everywhere. It's not just about business loan, I'm saying, but if you want to sell a car, okay, the car booking might be done a month before, or at least a couple of months before the festive season starts. But the research starts almost 6 to 9 months before you actually buy that particular product. And see, that's how things are. You can't go to the market in a way where you're saying, ha, theek hai, I know that my product is really good, it's really great, and I'm going to disrupt the market once I launch the product. Great, your product is really great, it's everything is good, but then do you know your consumer, what who exactly it is and what he wants? One more example of this particular thing. So there's a perfume brand that I'm managing right now, and the perfume brand was wanted to launch itself in India. And when they were launching, the definition of the TG that they had given us was it was a female-centric kind of a brand. So they had both male and female products. But when actually we launched that particular perfume in the market, 75% of the product which was brought was male. So then it actually struck a thought that if it was a product which was centered towards female, and right now 75% of the buyers are male, should we have the same set of communication that we're running, or should we have different set of communication for male? See, these small things are very important. You suddenly it opens your eyes and you're like, okay, I was thinking that my TG was A, but now this TG is some B.
That's a pretty extreme example, right? Yeah. So, and the point that you mentioned about the time aspect, right? One of the things that many, at least startup companies and smaller companies in early stages, that they don't take into account as much. And the gripe that I have a little bit on that is that there is a lot of time and effort and energy that goes into product development and testing, and there's stealth mode, and you have like a year or two. I know there is agile and agile way of developing products and so on, but still there is a lead time, there is a time to understand, to build the architecture and everything, right? So the technology stack, the integrations, thinking about everything, right? So even though it is agile, there's a lot of thought process that goes from the architecture down to the last line of code. Similar thing from marketing. I think it's a how many of us here have got this call from from some founder or CEO or boss saying, um, I have this product ready, let's launch it in 2 weeks, or let's launch it next week. Show of hands, please. How many of you have got this? Quite a few hands going up, right? Because like I said, it's a left brain, right brain. It's a very different thing. They are not marketers. We are not engineers. So things become difficult, right? So there's a lot. Between development testing, there's a lot of coordination, and that also took time for developers and testers to get coordinated. The same thing also needs to start happening between the product development and product management teams and marketing as well. That
So see, it's a very right set of question. If you're saying that you want to launch a brand in 2 weeks, okay, we had a session before this, which is SEO and social media. We all know that organically, if you want your brand to be ranked, or the LLMs to understand the product and services that you have, you need minimum 6 to 9 months. So when you are actually making the product, at that point of time, if you consult your marketing team, don't you think that the marketing team can have enough time in hand to create that content, to create that particular market before the product gets launched? And that's where it's very important to have a conversation with your marketing team to get an or give them an understanding as to what is there in your mind. See, as a business owner, it's always a case that I know how my product bana raha hu. I have completed the product, and I know 6 months down the line I'm going to launch the product, or 3 months down the line I'm going to launch the product. But those 6 months, 3 months, if you're able to give it to a marketeer, he can make wonders.
right, right. And I was discussing earlier today in another panel that um, like involving people from the stage one, right from the strategy stage. So visualize this. So there are four major steps that we go through, right? So there's the strategy and the product part of it. So as the product is getting ready, there's a strategy around around messaging first, right? I mean, who we are, whom we are building for, who we are not. What is the target audience that you don't want to target, right? So you have to put the guardrails, just like we do it in AI. Even in real world, we need to be very clear about whom we are not serving, right? And that's often, of course, a lot of big mistake that founders go down, right? I mean, we all know that. So that's the first part, right? I mean, on defining all that. And then the second is the messaging part of it. How well have you imbibed and inculcated that messaging into your organization, with your agencies, to say that, okay, are they trained enough to say the right things, to target the right audience, avoid certain audiences, not to say certain things? So all of that is kind of like part of the marketing strategy, which is messaging, positioning, and all of that, right? Then you go into the GTM, which is the third step. And very often what happens is that that call that comes is we're jumping to GTM right after the product is ready. So there's no thought process that has gone through in the whole messaging part. What do we have to say, right? All of those things. And then once the GTM goes well, you will have like your pipeline, your sales, your leads, those great conversations and inbound inquiries and all of that. If you shortchange any of this, it's going to it's going to be a lot of failure that people will see, a lot of wasted money, wasted effort, a lot of ad spend that is not going to lead anywhere. So I think that completing that loop, I think, is very important. And in that respect, just wanted to quickly say that there is, with AI, what is possible today is that a lot of this happens manually, or used to happen manually. Now, if you look at it, AI can automate aspects within advertising, or at aspects within email campaigning, and there are those, especially the last two things, pipelines, CRM. So a lot of utilitarian kind of AI can help in that, but AI can also help in, especially because LLM understands natural language, and a lot of the first two steps involves market research, a lot of commentary, a lot of documentation that you read. All of that is possible now with training a product, there's a new category in my mind that is going to develop, which is a strategic alignment tool, right? Where it says that even before you get into marketing automation, you fire up your HubSpot and your MailChimp and Apollo or whatever tools that you, even before you fire up that thing, everything before that is kind of manual and depends on the brains of people like Siddesh and all, right? I mean, on how to do it, what's the plan and everything. But AI can assist a lot in that strategy planning also. And that's incidentally what I meant, what I'm doing with Aligner is to create a category that, okay, you have your product, then before you even get to the marketing automation part, there's a strategic alignment software that says that everything about the product and the business and the offering is encoded into this. So then your GTM becomes more effective and more powerful, and your pipeline becomes more effective, and it's also more predictable. So that's kind of the workflow that I think that companies need to start, and agencies with their partners, business partners, need to start thinking about.
In fact, see, this is very important to understand the messaging part of it. Lots of time, I get calls from clients, and they say that, Siddesh, hey, let's do one thing. Let's run a performance marketing campaign, okay, for a product that we have just launched in the market. And similar thing which I had got from one of the brand. It's a luxury real estate brand that's there, and they have a product which is worth like 30-40 crores real estate. They wanted to launch it in India. So they were like, Siddesh, let's do one thing. Let's start a performance marketing campaign. Well, Areva, good. Let's start a performance marketing campaign. But what do you think that somebody who's actually gonna buy a 50 crore worth of property or 60 crore worth of property, he's gonna give you his lead upfront or his details upfront? It's not going to be like that. You can't really go and try to get into the market and say ki, just go and buy my product. So it's a 6 to 9 months journey that the product sales has, and it's not the direct kind of a buyer whom you're trying to target. Uh, the buyer is already there, but there are also people who are going to influence the buyer. If I have investment worth of 50 crores, do you think I'll just go ahead and make a payment to somebody? I'll have my legal advisors. I'll have my other set of people,
Yeah.
whom I'll go and ask certain set of questions. So your marketing strategy is not just directly related to me. You also need to have a second in line marketing strategy for those set of people who are going to influence me. Because if I go to them and they don't know about your product is not going to be sold to me. I'm not going to buy it.
Absolutely. No, right, that's a great point. It's especially in slightly more complex sales like these and higher ticket price kind of products and all. I think it's not a one-to-one. It's not sales, right?
Hence, messaging is important.
Messaging is important, and you have multiple stakeholders, and you have to message them message differently to different people also. Just one more example that comes to mind is in B2B, especially when there are multiple stakeholders that you have in your in the your prospective kind of organization. They are all thinking differently. There are some people who want to think of themselves, or who are genuinely visionaries. They want to innovate, they want to break things, and they want to be the first movers, right? And that's probably 2 to 5% of the people, maybe lesser, people with that kind of mindset. There are a lot of people who are very conservative in the sense that they want to buy something as a middle stage or late adopter kind of thing. There are people who are motivated and incentivized even in organizations um, to safeguard the organization and not necessarily to take the organization forward in a new opportunity direction. And people like CIS, the information security people, legal, accounting, right? Their job is to be skeptical, right? How much ever we hate them, because in that conversation they are the ones asking the difficult questions. How do you message to person number one versus the person, second person? How do you message to someone who is focused on today's job? Or does this work with that and I am using that? Can you integrate and do that? Versus someone who says that, okay, how will your product evolve over the next 2 years? Because that person is probably looking at planning for the next 2 years and not just what it does today. Right? So there are these buyer psychologies also that are involved that often gets missed in the B2B space, especially.
In fact, that's where the budgeting part comes in. Okay. So for this particular brand, when we actually told them about all these set of things, certain tools came into picture, certain costs actually got added. And then suddenly the team was like, we had never thought of these kind of costs would be there. Because it was very simple for us that we'll generate a few prospects, we'll give them call, and we'll try to schedule an appointment, we'll give them invitations, and we'll try to close the deal. But when it came to nurturing kind of a program wherein uh, it was a 6 months to a 9 months nurture that you have to do, or take a particular user from that particular stage to the stage where you can actually convert them. So from discovery to the conversion, that's how it was. Suddenly those questions started arising. Arey, acha, there's this thing which is required. Arey, there's this thing which is required. And then suddenly the marketing cost which they had in their mind, it just blew off by around 50-60% more. And it was not the marketing cost that went up, it was the cost of those tools, it was the cost of those people who would be involved, uh, and those multiple stages which are there. So suddenly a thing which was in their mind a 3 to 6 months kind of a project suddenly went to a 9 month kind of a thing. Then suddenly the costs which were 100 rupees went to 150, 160. But now the same thing, if they would have involved us before, it would have been easier for them to make the stakeholders aligned with all these set of things. And hence it's very important when you align your marketing team with the product that you have or services that you have, and just get an alignment from them that whether the market that we are targeting is it the right market or not. What else could be required? Like for marketing India, uh, which has multiple regional languages, you just can't go in the market with one single language, English, and just try to say ki ha, I'll just capture the market. So then there's different strategy which is altogether required. You need to have your costs then built in accordingly. uh, Suddenly it could be a case that your the number of so if it's a kind of a BFSI product where you want to have a assisted kind of a journey, uh, and assisted conversions are more as compared to a unassisted conversion, then your call center cost goes up, your other set of things which are there, those set of things go up. So small things you suddenly start realizing when you start aligning with the marketing team.
So one quick thought that I had, that aspect that I wanted to capture was also that the probably for at least in my experience, probably for the first time, what is another thing that is happening is that when marketing is defining the business, it's becoming very line of business centric, very line of business centric. I mean, especially in the technology industry, right? So IT services industry, like I said, I mean, so they're very inside out. They're saying that okay, we do these 15 things, right? I mean, maybe this, things like cloud migration or data integration or data engineering and AI and so many different things. So they typically have like pretty big portfolio of stuff that they do, right? And our advice to them is always to say that okay, don't say 15, 20 things. Make a story about 4 to 5 things. You still can continue doing those other things because that's the nature of your business. But externally, you have to build a brand, right? And brand doesn't happen with saying 15 different things. Brand is about repeating the same thing over and over again. So if you hear Jeff Bezos say, they have been harping about customer centricity from day one. I've seen his video from the late 90s where he even said that internet doesn't matter. It's even though they were the poster child of a dot-com business, right? When they started selling books. That's not important. I mean, that's just a channel. But he's saying, I want that customer service. So even today, till this day, right? I mean, we return products that's sent by Amazon, no questions asked, returns, right? So there are these elements. So now, so sorry, that was the kind of, I went in the direction of the brand part, right? And how do you recognize the brand and associate with the brand? But if you really think about it, many B2B businesses are also a collection of four or
You're
five
right
different
in saying
LOB.
that. You're not digressing discussion. See, thing is, when business teams thinks about certain set of things, many a time you get an understanding कि मुझे 6 महीने में ये करना है. But is it a 6 month thing or is it a 6 years kind of a thing that you need to think about? Uh, I understand, yes, to run a business, to be profitable, you need that 6 months ka window or 1 year ka window, and you need to know ki my revenue currently is X. Can I make it 2X, 3X, 4X? Which is fine. But those 3X growth, it's not going to be with those simple kind of things that you do. You have to have a proper understanding. You have to do a proper study of where do you see your brand 5 years down the line. And that's where the entire thing comes in as to, do I need to have a brand ambassador for my brand if I'm thinking of going that big? Do I need to start with a smaller micro influencers kind of a thingy where I just want to disrupt the market, or a smaller pocket in the region? So these alignments are important, and if you have to think about where your brand is, and in fact the product that you have, Shivesh, I think that helps brands a lot, defining those smaller set of things. If you could just try to put some light on that.
Sure. Yeah, just very quickly, and we'll open it up for questions. So, yeah, I mean, so the thing is that the aligner is actually the main word, right? I mean, here, I think over the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to hear this word a lot. Everything is becoming about alignment because doing has become easier. Now, what you are doing has to be aligned with what someone else is doing. So that's the alignment that our product also brings in. So yeah, but very quickly, the thing is that ultimately every line of business, every brand identity has to be aligned with the execution, with this, with the strategy, with the product, and then eventually the pipeline will start, as an outcome, will start becoming, more effective. And that's what is possible today. And that's, I think 2 to 3 years ago, this was not possible. It was all a very human oriented, high touch kind of experience. And that's what strategy consultants do, right? But that is also getting disrupted where, strategy consulting is also getting disrupted because if you really think about it, if I can spend half a minute on that, it's highly based on lot of reading, lot of documents, doing a lot of research and everything, and that's what LLM does really well. So it's not about whether strategy consultants will be needed and they'll continue doing, they will evolve and all that. So that's okay. But the thing is, there's a new product category that is coming out, which consultants are building, right? And both on the B2C and B2B side. Maybe Siddesh, we'll open it up for questions. We have a couple of minutes. You can walk up to the mic.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, you
Okay.
are.
So thank you, Shivesh and Siddesh. It was so informative. Okay. I am from a company called Reward Partners. My name is Geeta Bhosle. I'm a VP there. And I had a product which is a B2B product. Okay. And almost like 60 to 70% of Indian lending banks are my client. Okay. Now that I have reached there, okay. So the next question comes, now what's next? Where do I go about? So at that point, which team helps me? Is it the marketing team or someone from the business team?
So business team, as you rightly mentioned, you are the business team ideally.
Yeah.
You are giving me a task
Yeah.
that, Siddesh, right now I have reached a particular level,
Yeah.
and now I want to go to the next step.
Exactly.
The marketing team can actually help you understand that, is it a problem of the market saturation that you are currently facing? Is it something else? See, there are different ways of understanding it. For example, if it's a saturation in the market, okay, then you can just try and see that, can I go into some bigger markets, or some other market where I can get my product and get some more customers?
Yeah.
Is it something where the market saturation has not happened, okay,
Mm.
but I need to gain more share of voice in the market? So then there's a different strategy that you apply to it.
Yeah.
You can actually try to also try and understand that the current set of TG that you are focusing on, are you only focusing on the cream layer of it? Do you think that as a business owner, uh, if you're only focusing on large corporates, do you want to go to the MSMEs? So there are 63 million MSMEs in India, okay, and with those 63 million MSMEs, you're saying that your product, which is in lending, I guess,
Yes.
uh, you're not able to grow. Then that's a very big question, because out of the total 63 million MSMEs, only 6 to 7% MSMEs are able to get business lending. So there is a big 94-95% market which is already there for you to grow your
Exactly.
business.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. But
Yeah.
you know what? Like this is a startup. So the team is very lean. So one person wears multiple hats And that is where I asked the question.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think just very quickly to add to what Siddesh said, I think if I have to pick one, I think it's a business problem that you need to address, in the sense that I would think of like something like Porter's five forces, right? Or things of that
Yeah,
sort,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you say that, okay, or the value chain. So I'm part playing this role in the value chain. Maybe I can backward integrate to doing something else, or forward integrate. These are sort of like the pre-marketing questions, but like Siddesh said, very importantly, it's not devoid of marketing. You need to keep marketing in the loop. So that's
Exactly.
very critical.
Okay.
But that soul searching, I think, has to happen. And the answer could be in addressing a different market, which
Mm.
could be MSMEs, or different geography. The answer could be a different product. The answer could be different, types of customers, different psychographics of the customers. So we don't know where the answer might come from today.
Yeah.
Right? It could be any of these kind of parameters. So
In fact, one thing which you just mentioned, which is you are a startup with lesser budget. See, marketing not always requires high budget. It requires few ideations also. Uh, you can actually do a lot of strategic alliances for that matter. So there are lots of people in the market who have consumers with them. Uh, just to give an example, a business MSME, okay, for example, what does he do in his entire lifespan? He travels to different destinations to meet his clients and everything, and hence, if that's the case, he will have a travel business travel account. Okay, there are lots of people like yatra.com or many other people like this who also want to increase their base. If you already have your consumer base and they have their consumer base, you can just collaborate with each other and try to do
Yeah.
that. And
Collaboration is a
yes,
new.
that's
Yeah.
another
so
dimension.
marketing team can actually help you do that as well.
Okay. Makes sense. Thank you so much.
Okay. I think we have one more question. Yeah.
This is a very small question. I truly appreciate your insight on things. I'm a tech developer myself, so I work with startups very closely. So my question is very simple. I really loved your idea about the product development team as well as the market team need to collaborate very closely. So I'll discuss only regarding pre-GTM to keep the conversation brief. So as you have also suggested, 3 to 6 months is or 6 to 9 months is the ideal amount to do market research. So in a lean startup, how much the startup business operation need to collaborate with marketing, at the same time how much the business operation willing to listen to market as well, because I'm talking regarding pricing, I'm talking regarding operations, the customers and all that stuff. So how much the business operation needs to listen to marketing. There needs to be a point, because usually startups take business marketing consultancies. So marketing consultants have a different business model. So if you can give an insight on this, it would be very useful.
So you're from a tech industry, right?
Yes,
Right.
yes.
So one of the things is that the I can see that a lot of marketing language tends to be around brand, around some of the things which I, being a techie in my early part of my career, can understand that it can seem a little, it's a different lingo, different language,
Mm.
right? And the answer is somewhere in between. But at the same time, I think that foundation of that business has to be really strong, right? I mean, so if you're building, I think where Siddesh is also coming from, involving marketing teams early, is not about marketing team driving the technology or driving the engineering or the product. That still is the responsibility of the product manager. But listening to marketing team and getting their inputs, right, and then distilling it down to, okay, what does that mean for the product? That distillation is important. So the nature of interaction with marketing is different. Whereas a couple of years later, the nature of marketing interaction is going to be about ads and SEO and keywords and social media and all of that, right? So and that's the execution side of the things, and before that there'll be the branding side of the things, right? But the first, that often misstep for many founders, many startups, and especially in the technology industry, I'm sure it might be the case even in other industries, is that branding is not the starting of marketing.
Yeah.
Which is often, for people say, okay, now let's brand it and then let's do GTM. Forget the fact that branding itself is highly misunderstood concept. But the way the branding is, and the creating logo and this and that, before that you have to define who you are, right? And so that is also in a way part of branding, but the language is more strategic and more strategy oriented.
So can I, sorry to interrupt, can I reiterate and say this, marketing is one of the core foundations of, uh, building a startup, because startup usually consult marketing at a later stage before we take to,
Yeah, that's the
release.
recipe for disaster. I think marketing
So,
needs.
so you just mentioned one thing, that you are a startup with a very lean kind of budgets in hand. Okay. Now, if you have very less money in hand, don't you think you want to utilize it properly? And at the same point of time, with those lesser budgets, you also have very thin margin of error. And with that thin margin of error, if you are going to market without understanding it properly, uh, what do you think might happen?
Yeah, so
It could be
essentially,
a case that you might do wonders if your product is that great and it's actually as per the market requirement. But even a small kind of a difference with the market which you're launching in can like lead to a very big disaster.
yeah,
So
and
I'm saying that it's better that you consult a marketing person before you try to uh, uh, launch your product. It's like saying, when you want to jump into a sea or a river, it's better to ask somebody who's already done it
Been
before.
there.
And the marketing team might not be the person who has done it before, but they can go to a person and find that person for you who has already jumped in that river, and he can give you some understanding of how deep is it, what kind of uh, fishes are there in the river. So according to
yes,
that, you can
right.
do it.
So I think just one last comment, and I think we are over time here. But the like I said, the nature of that involvement, you don't want to talk to marketing on the ad copy aspect and all at this stage, right? You want to talk to marketing about the market,
Yes.
about the segments, about the positioning, what others are doing, how am I different, right? So it's a very soul searching kind of a question. Marketing teams can help you with that also, but that's a very it's a strategic marketing team, right? And that's what is important. Often what happens is that we get calls saying that, hey, you are in marketing, so can you help me with this? And I'm like, no, there's a difference. Like, I'm in marketing for what Siddesh does for marketing is different from what I do for
Yes.
marketing. Quite,
So marketing is
it's
not just
it's a
about
very
communication.
yeah.
I think
So
It's
that
also about a
differentiation is
research.
vital
that is
for.
important. So make sure that you are talking to the right person. So that marketing person needs to have the insights on the market, on the research, on the positioning, messaging. Like more strategy consulting, not the execution part of marketing. Marketing is a huge field.
Thank you so much. That's great.
With that, I think we can we'll wrap up.
Yes.
Thank you so much for everybody's attention and great questions. And thank you, Fueled, for this great opportunity.